Hey, it's Jim with CGC Sports Illustrated. A long-awaited unboxing video. Now, this is going to be kind of a goofy unboxing video for a couple of reasons. I'll explain in a second. Been my first unboxing video in several months. I'm sure you're all aware. CGC completely backed up. Let's talk about that a little bit. A year ago, I could send a batch of magazines out to CGC to be pressed and graded. And turnaround time was maybe 3, 4, 5 months. If you're sending magazines to CGC, if you were to send them today and get them pressed and get them graded at the entry level, you know, modern or economy tiers, you're looking at over 1 year. In fact, by my latest math, you're looking at probably 13, 14 months before getting your issues back from CGC. So my unboxing videos will kind of be sporadic from here on out. The real reason why this is a little bit odd is this is just one issue. So this is one slab that I've got, and I want to talk about the reason for that. I've mentioned this a lot of times before. I get every single one of my CGC Sports, every time I send magazines to CGC, I always get them pressed. Every single slab, every issue, every single time. There's a lot of people that think that's overkill. That's just for me personally. I want the absolute best grade I can get on every single issue. So, as you know, sending your, having CGC not only grade, but press your issues about doubles the cost, it about doubles the time. So I was experimenting with another pressing provider. This is a comic book guy that I know that has a pressing service that he offers to the public. I wanted to test it out. So I sent it to him to press, and then it got sent to CGC. Significantly cut down on my wait time for the pressing part of things. I had my normal grading time. But so this was just a little experiment for me as I sent this issue in, because I wanted to try out something different other than CGC for pressing. You guys know how I do this. I do not have any, I know what this issue is, but I have no idea what the grade is. I didn't look it up online. We're all looking at it for the first time here on this video. So this is just one slab. This was not pressed by CGC. It was pressed by a predominantly comic book guy who does pressing. And he did a really good job because he sent me some pictures of it. I mean, did an amazing job on it. Another oddity about this issue, this is my first swimsuit issue that I've ever had graded. I'm not really a big swimsuit issue guy. There are a ton of people out there that's all they collect, their swimsuit issues. But I wanted to try it out. This is also a modern swimsuit issue. So, let's get rid of this. One quick unveiling. I'm going to take a peek so I know what's the front and what's the back. Oh! Okay, this is how good this guy is. Okay, so this is Rafaeli and her swimsuit issue from February 13th, 2008. Number of reasons why I went with this comic book guy to do my pressing. Couple of different things. Not only did I want to experiment and try it out, these swimsuit issues, and I don't know if you can see this, but about 15 years ago, they started manufacturing these issues differently. That is not a stapled spine. That is a glued spine, more like you'd see in a traditional book. By the way, if you're buying modern Sports Illustrateds, like if you were to go to a newsstand and buy a Sports Illustrated today, all Sports Illustrateds produced today, they're done with staples, they're all glued spines. Totally different rules and procedures for pressing magazines and comics with that glued spine. So I was just kind of nervous about it. I knew this guy was an expert about it. It was so funny because when I sent this to him and he did the pressing, he called me, told him I was hoping for a 9.8, and he was like, you know, I had a couple of areas that I struggled with the press, so I did some tack ironing on it, and I think it's pretty good. He's like, Jim, I think this is a 9.4. And I said, Rich, man, that's kind of a bummer because, man, I've looked at this a lot. Now, this guy's a freaking expert, man. He's been doing comic book grading and pressing for 20 years. And here I am arguing with him like an idiot. But it's kind of funny because I was like, hey, I think this is a 9.8, especially with the pictures you sent me. So it's funny. Came back at a 9.8. This is fabulous. This is a pop 1 of 1, none higher. Rafaeli, this is her first Sports Illustrated swimsuit appearance. Again, it's from February 13th, 2009. And how fun is it that my very first swimsuit issue comes back graded at a perfect 9.8. So, quick recap, because there's a lot going on for just one slab here. CGC's wait times are through the roof. There are other really good pressing providers out there. They're all comic book guys. I've had some people message me trying to get into pressing themselves and doing their own pressing. I totally encourage that. I do want to set your expectations. It is an art and a science. And you can easily ruin magazines by pressing them incorrectly. And there's a ton of great videos out there from comic book guys. I've learned a ton from comic book guys about pressing magazines, but you got to remember, comic books were constructed differently than Sports Illustrated. And so while you can get a lot of great information, there are certain things that have to do with Sports Illustrated that are just different than comic books. For example, a lot of comic books were printed on like newspaper paper, really cheap quality paper. Sports Illustrated, since they first came out, were always printed on a much higher quality glossy paper. Introduces a whole nother level of potential complications. So that's the issue on pressing. You might want to look at some other providers out there other than CGC if you're getting them pressed. There's some really good ones. If you do want to do it yourself, set your expectations. I'm starting to do it myself. I bought my own press. I fully expect it'll take me 6 months at least before I start getting comfortable with it. And pressing on a lot of garbage issues is just, trials and that sort of thing. So that's it. This was an absolute home run. I almost didn't do an unboxing video just because it's one slab and that's it. But I knew there was a ton of information and a ton of new stuff going on, and it turned out to be an absolute freaking home run with Bar Rafaeli and a beautiful 9.8. Pop 1 of 1, none higher. Hey, if you don't follow me on social media, go ahead and do that. It's CGC Sports Illustrated. Drop a like and a comment and subscribe here on YouTube. Thanks, guys.